The sleek command ship of the Stellar Republic hovered silently in the darkness of space. Inside the observation deck, General Tyke stood with his four-fingered hands clasped behind his back. His pale blue skin reflected the glow of numerous screens surrounding him. Each screen showed different images of the blue-green planet called Earth. Tyke had served the Republic for over 300 years. In that time, he had conquered 12 worlds and negotiated the surrender of 7 more. His reputation for quick, clean victories made him the natural choice to lead the assessment of this new potential target. "General, we have intercepted more of their communications," said Officer Hahn, approaching with a data tablet. "These humans broadcast constantly." Tyke nodded. "Show me." The main screen flickered, then displayed chaotic scenes of what the humans called war. Tyke watched soldiers crawling through mud while explosions erupted around them. The footage changed to tanks rolling across a desert, then to aircraft dropping bombs on buildings below. "Primitive weapons," Tyke noted, "but effective for their technological level." "Yes, General," Hahn agreed. "Their wars seem inefficient, though. They fight for years when superior force could end conflicts in days." Tyke leaned forward as the screen showed a small group of human soldiers surrounded by enemies. The logical choice would be surrender or retreat. Instead, the humans formed a circle around their wounded and continued fighting. "Replay that sequence," Tyke ordered. He watched again, noticing details he had missed. The humans shouted to each other. Some smiled grimly. One pulled another to safety while being shot himself. "Their behavior defies military logic," Hahn said. "Or follows a different logic," Tyke murmured. That night, alone in his quarters, Tyke requested access to all available information about human warfare. As the most senior military officer in this sector, his authorization granted him immediate access to thousands of hours of footage and millions of documents. He watched battles, from what humans called World War II. He studied their Vietnam War and more recent desert conflicts. He read about ancient warriors like Alexander and Genghis Khan. He examined the strategies of Napoleon and Patton. Morning came, but Tyke did not sleep. He ordered food brought to his quarters and continued studying. By the third day, his aides grew concerned. "General, the preliminary invasion assessment is required by High Command," Commander Bay reminded him through the door communication system. "It will be delayed," Tyke replied simply. On the 5th day, Tyke emerged. His normally immaculate uniform was wrinkled. His eyes showed the fatigue of his species, a darkening of the outer iris. "Are you well, General?" asked Bay. "Schedule A." "Full strategic council," Tyke ordered. "I have conclusions to share." Hours later, the ship's senior officers gathered in the planning chamber. They expected to hear Tyke's recommended invasion strategy. The general had never failed to provide a clear, efficient plan for conquest. Tyke stood before the three-dimensional map of Earth. He touched a control and the planet's surface showed thousands of tiny lights representing military installations and weapon stockpiles. "Humans appear divided," he began. "They have nearly 200 separate governing territories they call countries. They speak different languages. They follow different beliefs. They fight among themselves constantly." The officers nodded. These were factors that typically made conquest simple. "And yet," Tyke continued, "this makes them uniquely dangerous." A murmur of confusion spread through the room. "General?" prompted Bay. Tyke changed the display to show footage of human soldiers running toward danger to rescue companions. Another clip showed civilians forming human chains to save strangers from floods. "Humans fight differently," Tyke explained. "They do not merely calculate odds of success. They fight with emotion. They fight for each other. Sometimes they fight simply because they refuse to surrender." "All species have primitive instincts," said Officer Jin dismissively. "This is beyond instinct," Tyke countered. "I have watched 10,000 years of their history. When humans believe in something or someone, they will accept costs no logical species would bear." He showed one final clip. A small unit of soldiers surrounded on all sides, continuing to fight despite certain defeat. "What is your assessment then, General?" asked Tyke looked at his fellow officers, knowing his next words would shock them. My recommendation is to bypass this planet. The humans would suffer greatly in a war with us, but they would never truly surrender. They would fight to the last person. The cost of conquering them would be unacceptable. As the room erupted in debate, Tyke knew one thing with certainty. He needed to learn more about these humans. The grand meeting hall of the Stellar Republic's flagship glowed with soft blue light. 12 high commanders sat around a circular table, their expressions severe. General Tyke stood in the center, his posture straight despite his exhaustion. General Tyke, your recent behavior concerns us, said High Commander Do, her voice cold. You have delayed your reports. You have spent excessive time studying Earth transmissions. Your duties to the Republic have suffered. Tyke nodded once. I apologize for any delays. My study of the humans has required thorough attention. Your recommendation to bypass Earth contradicts our expansion policy, said Commander Min, tapping his metal finger against the table. We have never avoided a planet because its inhabitants might resist. Tyke touched a control on his wrist. The air above the table filled with images of human warfare. Respectfully, High Commanders, the humans are unlike other species we have encountered. Commander Do sighed. They are primitive. They fight with explosives and projectiles. Our technology is centuries beyond theirs. Their technology is not what concerns me, Tyke replied. It is their nature. He showed footage of human soldiers jumping on explosives to save their companions. Then humans running into burning buildings to rescue strangers. Then humans standing against tanks with nothing but their bodies. They call it courage, Tyke explained. They value it above logic or self-preservation. All species have their peculiarities, said Commander Min dismissively. We adapt our strategies accordingly. Tyke shook his head. This is different. In 300 years of service, I have never recommended against conquest. But these humans... He paused, searching for the right words. They do not surrender when defeat is certain, they fight harder. Your fascination with these creatures has clouded your judgment, said Do. The invasion plans will proceed. You are reassigned to tactical support. Tyke felt something unfamiliar rise within him. Something he had seen in humans. Defiance. No, he said quietly. The room fell silent. No officer had ever refused a direct order from high command. What did you say? Do asked, her voice dangerous. I cannot support an invasion of Earth, Tyke said more firmly. Not until we understand them better. You are relieved of duty, Do announced. Report to medical for evaluation. Something has affected your mind. Tyke was escorted to his quarters and placed under guard. For 3 days he sat in silence, watching more human transmissions he had secretly stored. He saw their art, their music, their ceremonies honoring fallen warriors. He began to understand something the Republic had engineered out of its citizens. Generations ago, passion. On the 4th night, an unexpected visitor arrived. It was Officer Han, looking nervous. General, they plan to wipe your memory tomorrow, Han whispered. They believe you have been contaminated by human transmissions. Tyke nodded slowly. Perhaps I have been. I've disabled the tracking on Scout Vessel 7, Han continued. Its absence won't be noticed for at least 12 hours. Why would you help me? Tyke asked. Han hesitated. Because I've been watching the transmissions too. You're right about the humans. They're different. Later that night, Tyke moved silently through the corridors. His 3 centuries of military discipline had taught him patience and precision. He reached the launch bay without detection. Inside the small scout vessel, he programmed coordinates for Earth. As the ship silently slipped away from the flagship, Tyke felt something he had never experienced before: uncertainty about his future. For 6 days, the scout vessel traveled through space. Tyke used the time to study human languages and customs. He modified the ship's medical equipment to alter his appearance: fewer fingers, rounded ears, pinkish skin tone. He also prepared a message, encrypting it so only Han could decode it. The Republic believes strength comes from control. But watching humans, I believe true strength may come from something else. from caring enough about others to risk everything. As Earth grew larger in his view screen, Tyke made final preparations. The scout vessel contained technology that could help him blend in among humans. It also contained weapons that could help him protect them when the Republic eventually came. The ship entered Earth's atmosphere, shielded from human detection systems. Tyke had chosen a remote landing area, a forested region in what humans called Oregon. As the vessel descended through clouds, he felt another new emotion: anticipation. Whatever happened next, General Tyke of the Stellar Republic had made his choice. He would learn about humans up close. He would understand their strange, illogical courage. And perhaps when the Republic came, he would stand with them. The scout vessel shuddered as it entered Earth's atmosphere. General Tyke gripped the control panel, his newly altered five-fingered hands still feeling strange to him. The ship's cloaking technology kept it hidden from human detection systems as it descended toward the forested mountains of Oregon. Landing zone identified, the computer announced. Caution. Terrain is uneven. Tyke guided the ship into a small clearing surrounded by tall pine trees. The landing was rougher than he would have liked, with the vessel scraping against several trees before settling on the uneven ground. For a long moment, Tyke sat motionless, breathing deeply. The ship's sensors showed Earth's air was safe for his modified body, but he still felt nervous. No one from the Stellar Republic had ever walked freely among humans before. Computer, final physical adaptation check, he ordered. A blue light scanned his body. Adaptations complete. Subject appears human. Warning: behavioral patterns may still reveal non-human origin. Tyke had studied countless hours of human behavior, but he knew observation was different from experience. He would need to be careful. He gathered the supplies he had prepared: clothing styled like Earth garments, tools that resembled human technology but were far more advanced, and emergency rations. He had also created identification documents based on human patterns. According to these papers, he was now Kim Song-ho, a military veteran who preferred solitude. The ship's door opened with a soft hiss. Earth's air rushed in, rich with scents unlike anything on Republic worlds. Tyke stepped onto Earth soil for the first time. The gravity felt slightly stronger than he was used to. The sun warmer. The sounds of Earth's forest creatures surrounded him: birds calling, insects buzzing, small animals moving through underbrush. Begin camouflage sequence, Tyke commanded. The scout vessel shimmered, then seemed to transform. Its metallic surface looked like rough wood. Within minutes, it resembled a simple human cabin, complete with a door and windows that didn't actually exist. Anyone approaching would see only a small rustic building. Tyke spent the first day exploring the immediate area. He needed to know his surroundings before venturing toward human settlements. His enhanced senses detected a small road about 2 miles east, and a larger settlement perhaps 10 miles beyond that. That night, he sat outside his disguised ship, looking up at Earth's stars. They looked different from here, a humbling reminder of how far he had come, and how alone he now was. The following morning, Tyke dressed in the clothes he had prepared: sturdy pants, a plaid shirt, and boots. He had observed that rural humans often dress this way. He practiced human facial expressions in a reflective panel before setting out toward the road. The forest was dense, and walking through it proved more difficult than he had anticipated. Branches caught at his clothes. Uneven ground made him stumble occasionally. By the time he reached the road, Tyke had developed a new respect for humans who navigated such terrain regularly. The road was empty when he arrived. Tyke followed it for about a mile before hearing the sound of an approaching vehicle. He quickly moved to the side, trying to appear casual as a truck slowed beside him. A human male looked out the window. "You okay, buddy?" "Not many folks walking out here." Tyke had prepared for this moment. "Yes, I am fine. My car broke down back a ways. I'm walking to town." The human studied him for a moment. "That's a long walk. Hop in. I'm headed to Pine Grove. Myself." This was not in Tyke's plan. He had hoped to observe humans from a distance before interacting closely, but refusing might seem suspicious. "Thank you," he said, climbing into the passenger seat. "I'm June," the human said, extending his hand. Take remembered the human greeting custom and carefully shook June's hand. "Kim Song-ho. Korean, huh? My family came from Seoul 3 generations back," June said conversationally as the truck continued down the road. "What brings you out to the middle of nowhere, Kim?" Tyke hesitated, then used the story he had prepared. "I was in the military, now I prefer quiet places." June nodded. "I get that. My brother Hyun served 2 tours, still jumps at loud noises." He glanced at Take. "Where are you staying?" "I have a cabin in the forest." "No kidding? Must be pretty. Remote. You got supplies? Winter comes early up here." Tyke realized he had not considered seasonal changes in his planning. "I am still getting settled." June smiled. "Well, Pine Grove isn't much, but we've got a general store and a pretty decent diner. The Veterans Center has game nights on Thursdays. You should come by." As the small town appeared in the distance, Tyke felt both apprehension and curiosity. His mission to understand humans had begun faster than expected. The real test would be if he could blend in among them, and somehow warn them about what might be coming. Pine Grove turned out to be smaller than Take had expected, just a few streets lined with modest buildings. As June's truck pulled up to the general store, several people waved in greeting. "Small town," June explained, noticing Tyke's careful observation. "Everybody knows everybody." Tyke nodded, trying to mimic the casual manner of humans. Inside his mind, he was calculating variables and potential risks. Too many close interactions increased the chance of his true nature being discovered. "The store has everything you might need," June said as they entered a building filled with shelves of food, tools, and clothing. "Hey, Mrs. Park, got a newcomer here." An older woman with gray hair looked up from behind the counter. "Well, hello there. Welcome to Pine Grove." "This is Kim," June said. "He's got a cabin up in the hills." Take attempted a smile, remembering to show teeth, but not too many. "Hello?" "Former military," June added, which seemed to make Mrs. Park nod with understanding. "My husband was Army," she said. "You come by any time you need supplies." Over the next 2 weeks, Tyke established a routine. He would visit town every 3 days for supplies, gradually meeting more of the local humans. He discovered that his backstory as a former soldier actually helped. Humans seemed to accept his occasional strange behaviors or awkward responses as results of military service or possible trauma. The Veterans Center became an unexpected resource. Located in a small building with a faded flag outside, it was where former soldiers gathered to talk, play games, and support each other. Tyke's first visit was tense. He worried his limited knowledge would expose him, but he found the veterans asked few questions. "Not everyone wants to talk about where they served or what they did," Hyun, June's brother, explained one evening. "We respect that." Instead, they taught him to play card games and shared simple meals. Tyke observed how they interacted, their humor, their shared understanding of experiences he had never had. He began to recognize patterns in their behavior that hadn't been clear from simply watching transmissions. One night, after a heavy rainfall, Tyke was walking back toward his hidden ship when he heard a sound from the river that ran near town. A vehicle had slid off the road and was partially submerged, water rising around it. Inside, a woman was trying to escape with a small child. Without thinking, Tyke ran to the river. The current was strong, and a human would find it challenging. Tyke's modified but still superior strength allowed him to wade through the water easily. He reached the vehicle and forced the door open. "Take my hand," he said to the frightened woman. She passed the child to him first. Tyke carried the small human to shore, then returned for the woman. By the time other humans arrived with lights and emergency vehicles, Tyke had brought both to safety. "That was amazing," Hyun said later at the Veterans Center, where people had gathered after the rescue. "The current there is deadly. Most guys couldn't have done what you did." Tyke realized he had been careless, showing strength beyond normal human capability. "I was lucky," he said. And I had special training. What kind of training lets you walk through water like it's nothing? Asked another veteran named Gil. Let it go, Hyun interrupted. Man doesn't want to talk about it. Later that night, as people shared drinks, Hyun sat next to Taik in a quiet corner. You know, Hyun said, when I came back from my second tour, I couldn't talk about what happened there. Couldn't sleep either. Felt like I didn't belong anywhere anymore. Taik remained silent, understanding that Hyun was sharing something important. Whatever you're carrying, Hyun continued, whatever makes you different, it doesn't matter here. Actions matter. And you saved Suk and her kid tonight. Taik looked around the room at the humans talking, laughing, arguing about small things. For the first time, he didn't see them as study subjects. He saw them as individuals, complex, contradictory, and surprisingly kind to a stranger. You fight differently than we do, Taik said finally. How so? Hyun asked. My unit. We fought with precision, calculation. You humans add something else. Hyun laughed. Chaos and stupidity, mostly. No, Taik said seriously. Passion. As the evening continued, Taik realized something was changing within him. He had come to study humans, to understand why they fought as they did. Instead, he was beginning to understand why they lived as they did, connected to each other in ways the Republic had forgotten was possible. And for the first time since landing on Earth, he didn't feel like an observer. He felt like he might, someday, belong. Taik woke suddenly. The small device hidden beneath his bed was blinking red, a silent alarm he had programmed months ago. He grabbed it and stared at the tiny screen with growing dread. The message was clear. Stellar Republic ships had entered Earth's solar system. 6 months had passed since his arrival. Winter had come and gone. Spring had transformed the forests around Pine Grove into lush green. Taik had gradually become part of the small community. He worked part-time at the general store, helped veterans repair homes, and even attended the town's modest festivals. Now, all of that was threatened. Taik hurried through the forest to his hidden ship. The exterior still looked like a simple cabin, but inside, the advanced technology remained functional. He activated the long-range sensors and confirmed his fears. 3 Republic vessels approaching Earth, still days away but coming steadily. He sat heavily in the pilot's chair. The moment he had both anticipated and dreaded had arrived. He had 3 choices. He could flee to another planet. He could attempt to return to the Republic and claim he had been gathering intelligence all along. Or he could warn the humans. The third option meant revealing his true identity, and likely losing everything he had built here. As dawn broke, Taik walked to the Veterans Center. It was early, but he knew Hyun would be there preparing coffee for the morning meeting. Over these months, Hyun had become what humans called a friend. You look terrible, Hyun said when Taik entered. Everything okay? I need to talk to you, Taik replied. And June and Gil, can you call them? Something in his voice must have conveyed urgency because Hyun asked no questions, simply made the calls. Within an hour, the 4 of them sat in the empty center. What I am about to tell you will be difficult to believe, Taik began. But time is short. He took a deep breath and spoke the truth for the first time since arriving on Earth. I am not human. My real name is Taik, and I was a general from a civilization called the Stellar Republic. The 3 men stared at him. Gil laughed nervously. What kind of joke is this, Kim? No joke, Taik said. He rolled up his sleeve and deactivated the skin camouflage on his arm, revealing his natural blue coloration. I came to Earth to understand humans after observing your wars from space. My people are coming. They intend to conquer Earth. The shock in the room was palpable. June stood up, backing away. This is insane. 3 ships are approaching right now. Taik continued calmly. They will arrive in approximately 5 days. They have technology far beyond Earth's current capabilities. Why are you telling us this? Hyun asked, his voice steady despite the revelation. Because I believe Earth can be defended, but only if humans understand what is coming. Tyke looked at each man in turn. And because I no longer wish to be part of the Republic, these months here have changed me. The next hours were chaotic. Disbelief turned to questions, then to planning. By evening, they had contacted military officials using Gil's old connections. Most dismissed the warning, but a few agreed to review. The evidence Tyke provided, technical specifications of Republic ships and weapons translated into human terms. 3 days later, as Earth governments argued about the validity of the warning, Tyke's sensors detected a communication directed specifically at his hidden ship. "General Tyke," came Commander Bay's voice, "we know you are there. Return to the fleet immediately. Your behavior will be overlooked if you provide tactical information about Earth's defenses." That night, Tyke stood on the hill above Pine Grove. The town's lights shone in the valley below. Warm, inviting, familiar now. "What will you do?" Hyun asked, joining him on the hillside. "I have made my decision," Tyke replied. "I will contact my former ship tomorrow." Hyun's face showed disappointment. "So you're going back to them?" "No," Tyke said firmly. "I will offer them a warning and a choice." The next morning, Tyke activated his old communication device. "This is General Tyke to approaching fleet. Earth is under my protection." "General," came Commander Bay's surprised voice, "we thought you dead. Return to the fleet immediately." "No," Tyke replied. "I've learned something important here." He looked toward the town where June, Hyun, Gil, and the others lived their brief, brilliant lives. "What could these primitives possibly teach you?" Bay scoffed. Tyke smiled, the expression now feeling natural on his modified face. "How to fight for something that matters." He sent the transmission with attached files. Detailed analyses of human warfare throughout history, their adaptability, their willingness to unite against common threats, and their surprising capacity to forgive enemies. Attacking Earth would be a costly mistake, he concluded. "I respectfully request the Republic reconsider. If you proceed, I will stand with humanity." As he watched the sky where soon his former fleet would appear, Tyke felt strangely at peace. Whatever came next, negotiation or war, he had found his place. Not as an observer or conqueror, but as a defender of this complicated, passionate planet he now called home.